Welcome back, everyone. We're here in Gilded Vale. Lovely this time of year. All the rain and the dead trees. Delightful. Let's get going.
As you wish.
Okay. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, well, that's exactly what you want to see when you walk into town. Just a tree full of dead people.
You must be one of the new settlers. Welcome to Gilded Vale. You'll be pleased to know that we've had some recent vacancies here.
Are you mad? No wonder this place looks half empty. The only answer you hear is the buzzing from the flies on the tree.
Of course, we'll need to make some inquiries first. The inestimable Lord Radric VII has taken great pains to insulate our town from Widewind's legacy. Have you ever sired a Hollowborn child?
That's a rather personal question.
And an important one nevertheless. Lord Radric has made it his first priority to eliminate this scourge from our village. I should warn you, stranger. Here in Gilded Vale, we have a special place for dissidents, charlatans, and those who would hide a curse in our midst.
Yeah, no kidding.
His lordship's wife is with child and due any day now. Without his approval, I shan't be able to find you a permanent settlement. It will have to wait until after the birth. We can continue our interview then, after the bell tolls from Radric's hold to signal my lord's new heir. In the meantime, you can find temporary accommodations at the inn, just southwest of here.
I've been feeling rather strange since a close call with a Beowick. Is there someone in town who can help?
Whatever your problem, it sounds like a matter for an animancer. However, the only animancer in Gilded Vale isn't in any condition to speak. Consider yourself fortunate. After she failed Lord Radric, we saw to it that she wouldn't profit from the misplaced trust of others. A bad cure is often worse than none at all.
Okay then. So I guess that's what they do with animancers here.
But if you're set on finding a bottle of troll piss or a dead Audra pebble to rub on your forehead, you're welcome to check her pockets. A little corpse stink is nothing when you're digging for shit. My advice, however, is to be satisfied that you escaped and leave it at that.
Yeah, you seem like a nice guy. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's important that everyone in Gilded Vale understands our rules. You said something about Hollowborn and Widewind's legacy before? He blinks. I forgot that foreigners do not have the curse in your homelands. The Hollowborn have been a scourge upon the Deerwood for almost 15 years now. He lowers his voice to a whisper. Children born without souls. He shakes his head. Pitiful dumb things that breathe, barely, but do not truly live. Some say Hollowborn are a disease. Some say they are a punishment from the gods. He raises his empty hands. In truth, nobody knows. But they began spreading after the Saints' War, and the name Widewind's legacy stuck in honor of that foul, blasphemous pretender. His voice shakes with vitriol. I see. Lord Radric decrees may seem strict at times, but he has our best interests at heart. He nods. Okay, goodbye,
Keep
crazy
out
person.
Listen!
2 tolls. Let that be the last.
3. Gods have mercy.
It seems your arrival is ill-timed. 3 bells toll only for the death of a Radric. I fear Lord Radric's heir is lost, or else Hollowborn, and so lost all the same. You should tread carefully. Circumstances have changed a great deal.
What do you mean? You have come to us at a time of mourning. The legacy has struck at the heart of Gilded Vale. Our efforts to redeem ourselves in the eyes of Barath must be redoubled. He sets a steady gaze on you. Do not threaten me. No, that's not what Barzia would do. He's a nice guy. What happened? I will know more details when the messenger arrives. The vagaries of childbirth, perhaps. But that is none of your concern. Does this affect the Lord's offer on new settlers? I cannot be sure of I can be sure of nothing right now. I'd advise you get some rest at the inn or at a stable for all I care. Find me afterwards. I will know more soon enough. Farewell. Jeez, they smashed this place up to hell. Things are bound to get worse now. I don't really see how, but you know. You see 4 people gathered at the door of the inn. Their raised voices and clopping gestures suggest an argument reaching its climax. The first figure raises his hands for calm, his face partially obscured by a hood. His height and stature suggest an elf.
I meant no offense. Let's put this matter to rest over a round, shall we? My treat.
The others, two men and an elven woman, don't look convinced. The woman crosses her arms. Hoping to soothe our pride with a few deer and coppers, eh? She spits at his feet. We don't need your coin. What's going on? One of the men points at the hooded elf. His eyes are red from drink, but his gaze is focused. Mocking us while he shelters in our village. Just goes to show you what these fancy Adir manners are worth. I don't take that kind of treatment. Not from Forders, especially not from Adirans.
Go on. Say it again. I'm itching for an excuse.
Why, you're itching for the kindling touch of your sister, you cocksfeather!
Okay, Aloth. Probably not the way to go in this situation, but to each his
I'll
own.
cut that barrel-licking tongue out of your head.
This is a misunderstanding. I didn't say whatever it is you think I said. We've nigh quarreled.
That's where you're wrong.
Back down, all of you. This is absurd. No one gives us orders, foreigner. They squint through red, bare, early eyes. It sounds suspiciously like you're defending him. Okay, guess we're gonna have to kill him.
No! Kill them!
As the last of the attackers fall, the elf turns to you, the tension almost gone from his smooth face.
Not quite how I hoped to get to know the neighbors. Thank you for your timely assistance with that awkward situation.
I'm glad I could help.
Courtesy is a rare pleasure in these parts. Though your accent suggests that you are no more local than I.
He straightens his hood, and you note the remains of a fraying embroidery on his gloves. His boots are caked with dirt of many months of travel, but the leatherwork beneath is sturdy and fine.
Well, I suppose introductions are in order after that little fiasco. Aloth Corvusser, at your service.
How do you manage to get... or tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm a wizard by training, and an adventurer by necessity.
Oh, that's useful.
I was born in the Seathwood, part of the mainland of the Adir Empire. Both of my parents served the nobility, which afforded me an education for which I am grateful. However, there were no open positions in those houses, and so I decided to seek new means in a new land. And how exactly did you come to be here?
I was traveling with a caravan, but we were separated near some ruins.
In Gwithan ruins? Well, those can be dangerous places during the best of times, which these are not. And half the locals would arrest you for trespassing, and the rest would kill you outright. I'm curious, what exactly did you find there?
A bailiwick.
And you survived? I've heard such a thing was impossible. But it seems you either have a knack for timing or the favor of the gods.
And just how did you manage to get across those three drunks?
I'm afraid that was a matter of misunderstandings and mistranslations. It doesn't help that people in these parts remember their war with Adir like it was yesterday.
You did make a rather lewd suggestion regarding one of the aggressors and his own sister. Ah, that. He clears his throat and adjusts his sleeves. As I tried to tell them, they misheard me. Perhaps all too easily after a few pints, and the accent doesn't help. I heard the same thing. For just a moment, he looks as if he's about to say something else. His expression brightens with mischief, but before he can speak, he forces a tight smile, biting his lips so hard you expect to see blood. Finally, his face relaxes, and he shakes his head. I should speak more clearly next time. My apologies. What are you doing in Gilded Vale?
Excellent question. I came looking for fresh air and cheap land. Instead, the magistrate gave me directions to the inn and a story about the local lord's expectant wife. But I take it that's a familiar tale.
I've been experiencing strange things lately. I'm looking for an expert on souls.
Indeed. The local lord has searched far and wide for similar specialists. And he has rid himself of them almost as desperately.
I expect such expertise will be best sought elsewhere. You don't exactly look like a settler.
Begging your pardon, but neither do you. Yet, circumstances can find a person in the strangest of places.
I should get going.
As should I, given recent events. It's just as well. I've had enough of the watered wine and lumpy beds at the inn. They say even the owner tired of the place. Just up and left one day. It explains quite a lot about the upkeep. Perhaps I could join you. I could use a change of scenery, and I find it's better to travel in numbers.
So do I. Let's go then.
Excellent. I shall follow you.
Okay, let's... The most important part. If we didn't loot these bodies, then their deaths would be in vain. Okay. Let's head to the tavern. Hopefully it's nicer than the rest of the town, you know, seeing as there's a massive tree full of dead bodies. Yeah, it's a real tourist trap, you know. Get them in for the cheap land. They stay for they stay because they're now hung on trees.
Hail and well met.
The innkeeper looks up. Oh, it's you! Tenfith told us what you did for him. It's such a relief to have him back. I can't thank you enough. Okay. Consider yourself a favorite of the house. Discount on drinks, rooms. Tenfrith and said he wanted to whip you something nice for you. He's already back there working in the kitchen. So what would you like? I'd like a room, please. Certainly. You're always welcome. I'm a cheap bastard, so I'm just gonna take the common room. Well, that's a different sleep animation than I'm used to. Bunch of artist stones and green light. Your sleep is restless and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with a suffocating anxiety. I don't know how that feels. You open your eyes and to awaken, and find yourself in front of Gilded Vale's gallows tree, creaking from the ropes and growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman whose face is shriveled inward like molded fruit. Her head swings limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind until she is mere inches from your face. Suddenly, her head snaps up and her eyes open. They are empty behind it. Yeah. They are empty, and behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts and she whispers a rancid air and speaks a word. Watch her. You jolt awake, the foul smell of the dwarf woman breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets, and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. He called her an animancer. Though it fills you with new queasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see the woman once more, if only to confirm that she is truly dead. Okay, we got some experience to level up. Let's level up Aloth first. Okay, now it's time to choose level 2 spells. I've generally chosen Necromantic Lance, that's a good one. Just a solid damage. And there's so many options here. I'm not gonna go through all of them. Let's see. What's Combusting Wounds do? Cause of enemy wounds in the area area of effect to ignite, dealing additional burn damage over time for each time they're wounded. Meh. Let's see what's infused with Vital Essence. Infuses the caster with vitality, giving them turn. Okay, so it only affects them. Merciless. God. What's Rolling Flame? Rolling ball of fire, inflicting burn damage to any in its path. Okay, Necromantic Lance and Rolling Flame. It seems pretty good. Let's see what I unlock as a level 3 paladin. Flames of Devotion, we already know what that does. Zealous Focus, pure conviction instills clarity of purpose to him and his allies. Okay, so it increases the accuracy and it converts grazes into hits. Zealous Charge, movement speed, defense while disengaging, damage reduction. I think I'll take Zealous Endurance. I kind of want to make this guy like a really tanky support fighter. He fights for his friends. Though, funnily enough, I've never actually played those games. If you don't know what I'm referencing, it's I believe it's Fire Emblem Awakening, or Fire Emblem in general. believe the character is Crom. Again, I'm probably got it all wrong. I haven't played those games before. I know that's something my friends who play Fire Emblem say a lot. Okay, so let's get back into the swing of things. You get it? Because people are getting hung and swinging from trees. Yeah, that wasn't good. Okay. Let's see if we can talk to that magistrate again. Oh. Let's talk to the magistrate first, see if there's anything new.
I have received confirmation that Lord Radric's heir was not born well. My lord has issued an injunction on all new homesteads until he can be assured that the village has been cleansed of all Aothasians and whatever other undesirables that have brought this curse upon his lands. It would be best if you left town as soon as possible. I would suggest returning to your old home. There will be no place for you here. You may stay at the inn until you can make the necessary arrangements, but I would not advise remaining long. I expect Lord Radric will be most thorough in his efforts to purify this place.
Tell me about Lord Radric. He comes from a line of nobles who have defended these lands since Aediran times. Radric II was an early supporter of the Deer Woodens and independence during the Revolution, and the current Lord's father perished in the Saints' War. Hollowborns began appearing in Deerwood shortly after the war's end. Lord Radric has taken upon himself to purge the curse from Gilded Vale. His measures have been severe but necessary. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that that's enough to protect his heir. The Saints' War? Our age most irregenerous. Okay. Example of man's madness. 15 years ago, the people of Red Ceres decided that Widewin, the living saint, was the literal incarnation of the god Aothas. This saint took it upon himself to liberate Deerwood, supposedly from allegiances to less worthy gods. But I never know an army to conquer a land for its people. A land for its people's own good. The war lasted about a year, but you can guess what that year did to the worship of Aothas in Deerwood. Lord Radric forbears all had Aothasians, but after his father fell defending it from those fanatics, he personally saw the temple of Aothas here torn down. His town was shut down. He points at a few ruined walls near the tree. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. It's important. Okay. Goodbye. Hello there. Let's talk to this dead dwarf. The squat, desiccated body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crook brow that sags at the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward rigidly from one side to another when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light in her surroundings, but there's a tepid warmth to it, and you can feel somehow that you can reach out and touch it, not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself of no worldly dimension. Reach out to the woman. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you inhale, you feel yourself spreading out towards the hanged woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded enough to reach her, there is a sudden jolt in your mind, a ringing electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, You shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down into some deeper consciousness, in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman. And when you open them again, she is staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog, her body still swaying in a wind you no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives you a nod with her head, the rope creaking as she does, and she smiles at you.
Have you come here for me, dear? Or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
Am I imagining this?
No, I think not. A pity that. It would be simpler. A mercy, then. Do not have to wander anymore, no? Alas, we are here, you and I, wherever here may be.
How are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
I need to understand something that happened to me. She nods, a look of pity on her face, as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there.
She nods.
You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
What's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, no, not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair, and here we are visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on, some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either leaving or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them. Know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well. A wonder.
What do you mean, when all goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties.
She smiles at you reassuringly, fanning out a tuft of long whiskers that sprout from one of her cheeks.
You should see old Meerwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
I think I survived a bailiwick. Do you know how that would be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me now.
You said souls break apart over time.
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die, and pick up pieces of others when we are born again. But less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
Well, I wanted to know something about you.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
Who are you?
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi, of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
What happened to you? She laughs, a rasping, choked crackle escaping between the rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing your blank expression, she catches herself.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
Tell me.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
What's an animancer?
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us? The best? Inspirations, miracle workers. My parents were soul twins. Miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other. Turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I love the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
I had other questions.
Of course, dear.
Guess we've run out of things to say. Farewell.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
Caldara closes her eyes, and her head slumps forward all over the noose, and your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision for some unknown place of waiting. From some unknown place of waiting. Are you alright? You seem lost just now. That happens a lot. You're gonna have to get used to it. That's good to know, but I don't suppose what you could tell what that was all about. I'm a watcher. His eyebrows recede into his hood. Well, that's interesting. He gives you a sly grin. And I expect that explains how you survived a bailiwick, huh? In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about Watchers? Only that they're rare and they seem to have a unique insight into certain soul conditions, as you just demonstrated. Let's continue.
$17.5.
Excuse me? The smell of pipe smoke, at once earthy and sweet, winds its way into your nostrils. Your eyes trace the smoke into its origin, and you find a broad man with straw-colored hair leaning against a mossy rock wall, his pipe held to his lips with one meaty hand. He looks at you directly in the eye, but the look is not aggressive. He regards you with a peculiar smirk.
17.5. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the door foreman.
I'm sorry?
The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
Yeah, I think so too, but what are you talking
People
about?
hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted anyway.
Eloth frowns. Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
What makes you think I'm interested in the dwarf woman? He looks at you a moment, his brows arched, his smirk broadens.
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
Impossible. I don't drool half as much. Ha! So you're familiar. Still, I haven't you'll have to forgive my curiosity. Round here we prefer to turn a blind eye to our dead. Do you know what a watcher
Careful,
is?
friend. Let's not use that word round here. Could be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come to these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be. Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
What's that supposed to mean? Hey, don't blame me. I don't have to say. I don't have to say. You can take my word for that.
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fella who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
The war? Saints' War. Only one in my lifetime. Fella decides he's the living incarnation of Aethys. Overthrows Red Saris, marches on Deerwood, so we give him the Deerwoodian hello. What's a Deerwoodian hello?
Blew him up.
I like this guy. I had other questions. Why's your headman hanged? Got involved? Radric sent men down here the other day. Said they had a good authority someone in town was working for Kolsik, plotting Radric's overthrow. Said if he didn't come forward right then and there, he'd hang every last one of us. no one was coming forward. So Switten, that's my headman, he stepped up and said it's him. They took him at his word. He sighed and shakes his head, his eyes fixed on the tree. Bound to happen sooner or later. If not for plotting against Radric, then for protecting me. Who's Kolsik? Someone who got tired of the hangings. He's on the run now. Probably will be till they catch him. What does the town have against you?
Pick the wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, there was a temple to him, to give you some idea. Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, and then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Radric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
Alf glances at you and lowers his voice. I can see why. You can see why I was eager to leave. If you're the next to be hanged, what are you still doing here? Drinking, mostly. Point of fact, I'm on my way out. Just haven't figured out where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out here that don't think Widewind's legacy was started by Widewind. We could travel together. Where are you headed? Some place called Cadnua. There's an old watcher there who might be able to help me.
I seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before. Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger, and a strange one at that. But, truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
That's a fine reason, if I've ever heard one.
Alright then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
Let's get going. And with that, I think I will end this episode for today. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.